Hoka hey, Alita Army. Welcome to the Alita Livestream of May the 2nd, 2023. Alita playing Motorball in the sequel or series, where we discuss all things to do with the movie Alita Battle Angel, the source manga, Gundam, and the greatly desired sequels. I am your host, the Muskogee Creek, and I am in Linville, North Carolina. And with us today is Lee, which I think, Lee, you're becoming a regular on the stream, I think, and he's from Fountain, Colorado. So how's it going, Lee?
Not too bad, and yeah, I guess I am, huh?
Yeah, well, that's cool. We like having you on. There's no problem. Angela sent me a DM. He says he's going to be a little bit late. Maybe that Saturday morning there is probably pretty tough to get up after working all week.
Yeah, very possibly, yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. So anyway, how's things going out there in Colorado? Because I'm going to be coming back on Sunday, so I'll be doing the stream next week from my place in Denver there. So how's things down there in Fountain?
Well, at the moment, mostly sunny, decent
Nice.
weather. We've had quite a bit of rain. Says it's going to be dropping temperatures tomorrow and having some more rain tomorrow, but we'll see. You know how Colorado is.
Yes, I do. I'm very familiar with it.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of rain here in North Carolina, although I guess today it's kind of sunny. It was a little overcast yesterday, and this morning rather, and it seems either for most days here it's either been raining or it's been misting enough where I can't get my cardio in. So anyway, looking forward to getting back to Colorado anyway.
Yeah.
All right, Lee. So I guess Angelus, I invited several other people too, so they'll probably get here when they get here, I guess. So guess we'll go ahead and get started. One thing I want to tell everybody on the stream here, and we'll probably see this again tomorrow at the Radio Chaos stream, but and I think some of you may have heard this already, but we have started an Alita Army company actually, and really its sole purpose is just to promote the movie Alita Battle Angel and advocate for a sequel. We, as I think I said last week, we don't own any of the there's Angelus. Wow.
Howdy.
Good day, Angelus.
Hello.
How's it going?
Nothing my Facebook.
Okay. Well, while you're doing that, we can still be talking about this right here. By the way, Angelus is, everybody on this stream knows this. Angelus is from Brisbane in Queensland, Australia. So he's from down under. He's one of those rascally Aussies. So but anyway, getting back to this, we've commissioned kind of one of those flying ad type things, to kind of fly around the Disney headquarters with hashtag Alita sequel trailing in the banner, and we're also going to raise money for a bionic hand or arm, I guess, for some deserving individual. And certainly in this particular graphic, we want folks to know we want a sequel, and so we kind of want to make sure Disney knows this. They probably know it already, but hey, it doesn't hurt to keep reminding them, if for no other reason to piss them off.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we started a GoFundMe page on it. You go visit it. You can, if you can give a little bit, that's good. If not, you just want to go look at it. There's there's the URL, and it's also down in the description below the screen you see here. So check that out. And, we're going to start doing a lot more. We're going to start being a little more, not a lot more stuff, because we've been doing a lot of stuff the Elite Army has, but we're going to kind of be a little more organized, I guess, about it, I guess, So, but, we've done these kind of campaigns before we did form this company. So it's, it's a good thing anyway. So anyway, check this out. This is going to happen on June the 14th, this airplane flying around Disney. So hopefully they'll get the message, and maybe it'll push them over the edge. Who knows? Also, do you have something to say there, Lee?
Oh, no, sorry. I was just making an agreement noise.
Okay.
Sorry.
no problem. Yeah, you don't have to ask my forgiveness or stuff like that on this stream. You're not going to hurt my feelings at all. Because this is all about the Alita Army. Here's Chaos Nova from Mentor, Ohio.
Yeah,
Hello.
have you seen
Howdy.
his creaky's arms lately? They're like tree trunks.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I guess. I guess they are a nice size, I guess, for guys my age anyway. So, how's it going, Chaos?
Oh, pretty well.
Cool. So, anyway, this week on the petition was really successful. We added 135 signatures, which, remember the week before, last week, we had only added like 6,
So that's a good jump.
Oh, yeah, big jump, So we're getting closer and closer to 178,000. And ultimately, we want to get to 200,000, obviously. But, hey, we're going to keep pushing,
I'd figure 180,000 would be a nice round number, too.
Yeah, 180,000 would be a good number. We'll probably reach that. I guess we might reach that by, say, the end of the year or the very latest mid next year, I would guess. Unless we get jumps like we had this time, then it'd be a lot sooner,
Yeah.
So, but anyway, there's the link down there below the graphic, and that is also in the description. And this week, the Creek made sure that those links were in there. So, you basically, just click on that. You can go visit this, and I think you can donate to this, but this is not a donation thing. I think it's just you sign a petition type deal. So you don't have to give money on this one, but you definitely want to sign the petition, and you click on it, and that adds to the number and that kind of thing. And it's one more notch, to let Disney know we want a sequel for our girl. So. Okay, and then last but not least is Avatar: Way of Water. Now, I didn't see an update as to the number of amount of money that this thing has made. My sense is it's probably not in the theater.
A lot.
Well, it's made a lot of money in 5 months. There's no doubt about that. But I think in the last week I didn't see an update for it, or didn't find one. So it may have pretty much played out in the movies. Now, I know that on June the 10th, the Blu-ray is going to come out. So, and I know you can actually purchase this on YouTube. As a matter of fact, if you go to YouTube Movies, you can get Avatar: Way of Water on YouTube. So I don't know.
In fact, you can do that for a lot of movies too.
Yeah,
there's for Alita as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've got a bunch of movies, including Alita, and I don't have Avatar: Way of Water because I want to get the Blu-ray on that. But of course, I've got copies of Alita everywhere. I got not only on YouTube, but I've got it on another streaming service. I can't recall which. And then
Amazon, maybe.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, and then I think it is Amazon. Now that you mention it, and I've got several DVDs. I've got a couple of Blu-rays. I've even got a 3D copy of Alita, but I don't have a 3D television, so I can't play it.
Yeah, I mean, there are some ways to do like red-blue 3D conversion, but I can't really say it because it'd be copywriting. But there are some people who did clips from the film Alita with a 3D conversion.
Yeah, for sure. And I've got the IMAX version, and I've got all kind of versions. I bet I've got a dozen copies of Alita running around, and I've given a bunch of them. If you remember, about 3 years ago, I guess Dennis really gave away a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays. I gave away a bunch myself, but not near as many as he did, And one of my favorite things to do when I get an extra copy of Alita or something like that is to give it to a public library, that doesn't have it. And that's, that means other people can see it and stuff like that. So, it's a good thing to do so people can see it. But if you haven't seen Avatar: Way of Water, go see that, man. The visual effects will knock your head off. I mean, it's stunning, And they shot this thing at 60 frames a second, so it looks really smooth, So I mean, it's spectacular. This movie is. I mean, I can see now. A lot of haters, kind of dissed it for whatever reason they wanted to diss it. But I'll tell you, man, the movie's solid all the way from what I've seen. So go check it out if it is on a movie, if it is at a theater near you. If not, it may not be now. It's because it's been 5 months. But the Blu-ray's coming out here in the next week, so just kind of get that and go check and get that thing. So let's see, what do you got in here in the private chat here?
I mean, also something to think about is if you have a town theaters, you can make a request with them. At least I could do it with Atlas Cinema. For the season. I mean, I believe it was 2022. They showed Aliens for Halloween at Atlas. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, we had a small theater chain like that in Colorado called Elvis Cinemas, but they went out of business.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, gosh, I was talking to a guy about showing Alita, and about the time they went out of business. So I guess that didn't happen. So unfortunately, but it's best to get this thing on a big chain. But hey, anytime you can get a public showing of Alita going, that's a good thing too. I don't care how small the theater chain is. So anyway, that's the way that is. Okay, guys, any comments, I guess, about Avatar, the sequel, or our upcoming flight around Disney? To let them know we want that sequel. Damn it! So. Okay, so let me get back to well, that thing didn't jump for me.
I was going to wonder later on if maybe I could try and use my screen to show footage from the game of Motorball.
Sure, we can do that. Yeah.
All right, just let me know. I'll get it looked up so I can show it.
Well, we can do it right now before we get into this, because this is just a setup slide.
All right, I just have to look in my live stream play gameplay.
Boy, Chaos, somebody's excited at your house.
They sure.
Okay, while we're waiting on Chaos to hunt up that Motorball game that he's going to preview for us on here. Of course, Motorball is a major part of the Alita franchise for sure, and it certainly was a major part of the movie, definitely. And, we saw 3 versions of Motorball, in the movie. We saw certainly Street Motorball, which is where Alita first meets Tanji and Koyomi, and she's kind of, I guess she's kind of hunting for Hugo when she's walking the streets, kind of.
Okay, I have the part with Ed where it's
okay.
I'll get it to the share screen in a minute.
Okay. Somebody's excited about this at your house, Chaos.
To be young and noisy again.
Hey, I'm still young, but I'm not very well. I guess I am noisy at times.
Can be.
Yeah. Or sometimes I can't shut my mouth. I mean, especially if we talk about Alita,
Yeah, well, it happens.
Yeah. Okay, Chaos, take us through it.
Okay, so this is the part where Ed tells you about how to play the game, and I'm going to skip ahead at this point because when we actually get on the track. But Ed is explaining the controls and how you use the PlayStation controller to play it. I'm using a DualShock PS4 wireless.
Okay. So it's like he's telling Alita this, even though he's actually doing it for the player, I guess.
Sort of a game tutorial sort of thing.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, really. When they changed this, when they translated it to English, why didn't they translate Galley to Alita? Because that's, I guess they wanted to stay true to the manga, I guess.
Yes, they did. So it's going to come up to the entry hall here.
All right, let's try to-
So the trick is that I'll turn the volume down.
Yeah.
So when you're doing Motorball, you're mostly just going around the track, and you can do a charged up spin attack to do more damage, or you can just do a quick hit, which while you because you're vulnerable when you're charging up. So I just do quick ones because this guy's going to hit me really quick.
Yeah.
The trick is you have to hit everyone on the track. Get rid of everyone on the track, including the guy with the ball. Then you win. And if you see it, I guess my logos are blocking the timer, but there's a timer. When it goes to 0 and you fail, you lose the game.
Yeah. Yeah, we can see it underneath the logo there, but so God, she's going about 120, 130 miles an hour at some point.
Kilometers per hour. So 300, about 300 is around 200 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So NASCAR speed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm going to do a little more of this, and I'm going to skip ahead to the actual big contenders.
When did this game come out, Chaos?
August 27th, 1998. So on August 27th, this game is 25 years old.
Wow.
So I'm skipping to the next admission.
Okay.
So this
So
is how you get on the track. You have to go to the admission and say, okay, which one do you want? So this is Bargerald. He's the most basic contender in Motorball.
So she has to go to the deckman, I guess. Yeah.
You have the deckman, and you have to, talk to him about getting rewards and talk to him about getting admitted to the round of Motorball. The higher the tier, the more it takes to enter into it. But you can replay the older rounds for money if you want.
Okay.
So you saw the practice one. This is Bargerald.
Well, these are just the other contenders here. She's not skating against Balgerald yet, is she?
Not yet. He shows up when you get the other guys cleared out of the way.
Yeah. So is this like the third league?
This what?
What in the manga, I guess they have the, in the movie we saw second league and Champions League, but in the manga is the third league, the second league, and the Champions League, or the first league.
Yes, there's three tiers. Bargerald, Adjucutty are in the first one. There's two more in the other one, and Josh against the last one.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets harder too. Like in this one, you have a wall to keep you from falling off the edge. Later on, you don't have any walls, so you can literally fall off the edge if you're not careful, and you automatically lose.
Mm.
So when did you stream this, Chaos?
Oh, this is almost a month ago.
Okay. So that's Balgerald right there, right?
Yes, that's him. He's pretty basic. He goes on one foot. And I'm going to find the part where you go against Adjucutty because he's even worse.
She's pretty much having her way with him. Now, I haven't watched Chaos play Martian Memory for a while, but it's always been entertaining for me to watch. Okay, so now she's going after Adjicutty, right? Now, is Adjicutty green in this just like he is in the movie? Oh, I guess Chaos has to stay muted.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks like
Oh,
him.
that's
So yeah,
that-
I think
that's
that
Adjicutty, yeah.
he is. Yeah,
Is
he is
green, a little darker green, but that's him. Yeah.
As you can see, he rides on his back, and
Yeah.
it's hard to hit him that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do the jump slam. You have to do the jump slam when he's lying down like that.
Yeah. That's
Well, I
the
lost
end
that
of Adjicutty.
one, so I need to get Ed needs to fix me up.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah. At first, I was thinking you won. Then I saw it was like purple pieces. It's like, oh
Yeah.
nope, that was Alita's body going apart.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, by the way, Chaos, this is this link right here, isn't it?
Yes, I'm doing a no weapons challenge.
Okay.
I mean, it's not that big of a game here on YouTube, but I'm just saying, hey, let's try to do the major fights in the game without using any weapons. It's tough, but I've done it with Makaku, so that's just one part of
Okay.
it.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, our girl won that one. Now, this was originally a PlayStation game, is that right? I guess he's having to stay muted.
Hmm.
See, I would have liked for them to change her name to Alita, you know, just like in the movie and in the novelization, you know, but that's cool.
Oh, this is a big part. This is a big surprise part.
Ah. So
Can you recognize this guy?
Josh again, I think.
It is. You're right. You're right. It is
Okay.
Josh.
Looks
So
a
he-
little bit different from what I was used to, but did seem
Yeah.
like him. Yeah.
I was expecting to see some yellow character, you know.
But you can probably tell from the one-armed gameplay that it's Josh Ugan.
Yeah, the head shape a little bit too.
Yeah. Yeah, plus a 0. Also, Josh Ugan's a second best player in the
Well, he was saying Arm Blessed, which I think is a different character.
Oh,
entirely.
okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Arm Blessed is the last one before Josh Ugan. This is when you're only halfway done. So, unlike the film, you don't really see Josh Ugan until you've played a number of matches.
Hmm.
I mean, I'll stop after this, but yeah, it's pretty cool to see this. You know, it's basically the closest thing you get to a movie without a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've always said when I watch you play this game, you know, it's kind of like watching Alita, you know.
Yeah, so I'll try and get like a link to video footage from the game if people have a character they're thinking of. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
'Cause
Now
it'll
you're
play a
you're
lot
playing
more
this.
clean. It will
You're
play a
play-
lot more clearly at 60 frames per second.
Yeah. Well, but you're playing this on your PC, right? And then doing a screen
Yeah,
capture.
I'm using screen capture on my PC with a wireless controller.
Okay, so and you got a emulator, I guess, on there or is this a native PC game?
Just PlayStation.
What was that, Chaos? Is this a native PC game, or is it you have to play it on an emulator? Oh, she doesn't have her plasma weapon. Look at that.
Well, I don't think she would have it on her motorball body.
Yeah, well, she did in the movie, didn't she?
Well, in the movie, she was using. Well, that's the thing. At the end of them, she was in a motorball body. So yeah, it's. I'm kind of going with the thing that Maxie did in his story, where Ito managed to duplicate to some degree the at least one of the plasma generators in her berserker body and planted it into her motorball body, so she had some kind of plasma generation system.
So he was able to reverse engineer that thing, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of followed his lead with that and did it in my story too.
Ah,
once you get to the parts where Alita's doing motorball and Jason's there to see it.
Yeah, in my little old story, she's a past motorball.
Oh yeah, she's often further along in her story.
You betcha. All right, thanks for that, Chaos. That's pretty interesting. So I put the link. Here's the link right here if you want to go check it out. And certainly you can go to Chaos's his YouTube channel, and he has other videos on there you can watch, including other Martian Memory video game or episodes he's played on there. So a lot of them are in Japanese, but I think he's in the process of using just the English. Okay, so anyway, let's get to this. I guess Alita plays Motorball. It's a kind of a big deal in the movie, and it's actually in the original manga. It's a big deal. Now you don't see Motorball in the Last Order. I believe there might have been in the Last Order where she remembered Joshigan in the Last Order, but there was no Motorball in Last Order.
Yeah.
And
I think the Zot basically kind of took over for Motorball as part of her development in that arc.
Yeah, that's right. And there's certainly no mention of Motorball in the Mars Chronicles either. So Motorball.
I think they're way past that.
Yeah, that's right. So it's kind of a, it's just pretty much an original manga, type of thing going on there. But anyway, in the movie, there's actually three kinds of motorball that are going on here. And of course, there's the kind of the unorganized street motorball that you saw the kids playing, although some of them didn't look like kids. Some of them were adults playing in the street. And then, of course, the second league is the league. It's just below the Champions League. And of course, the Champions League, that's the league that Joshigan is playing in. Joshigan and
the notes that are in Ito's journal that came out in the movie.
Yeah.
There are, in fact, 3 levels of Motorball
leagues.
competition.
Yeah.
There's the third league.
Yes.
The second league, which is the one that's, I guess, a bit more popular.
Yeah.
And then, of course, first league, which is also known as Championships League.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a little chat about that. I guess we had a stream a couple of years ago where we talked about the 3 leagues that were in the manga that are not in the movie.
They're not mentioned in the movie, but they do seem to be in the backstory for it.
Could be, yeah.
Well, like I said, in the Ito's journal, that's taken from the original notes from the movie.
Okay.
They might have cut it out, but it seems like part of the backstory at least.
But anyway, in the way it shakes out, I guess, is the third league is kind of like what we would call here in the States, whether it's baseball or football or something like that, would be like semi-professional. Second league would be like the minor leagues, and the first league would be like, the big leagues, like Major League Baseball, the NFL, and stuff like that, National Football League, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking third league is kind of the if you're a prospective motorballer or motorball paladin, as they call them, sort of the get your foot in the door league.
Yeah, that's right. That's That's the low. Well, I guess the street is not really organized, but
no, the street seems to be just something people do for fun. You know, the way we
Yeah.
do like street hockey or stickball in streets in New York or something like that.
Well, I think too. Another thing is it'd be kind of like sandlot baseball or football too. I guess if
That too, yeah.
I guess if you were to, I guess if a scout saw a really talented player playing street motorball, they might say, "Hey, you might consider going in the third league," and
Yeah. Well, it's possible, but it seems
Yeah.
more likely the scouts are going to be scouring the actual arena.
Yeah, that's right. So,
But it is possible, you know, one
But
of
if
them
they-
could
but if
happen to
they're-
drop by and see it.
yeah, but they, where they're going to get the third league players. Now, it could be people that are kind of, maybe they're in the second league and they're not doing so well, and they get dropped back down to the third league. That
Well,
could happen, you know?
I was kind of thinking it was like people who are looking to get into motorball
Yes.
basically scrape together enough of a savings to get something resembling a motorball body.
Yeah.
And so they use it in the third league, hoping to, you know, be able to take on some low-level contenders, win a little bit more money to start getting a little bit better parts, start working their way up the rankings
Yes.
to second league.
Well, the thing of it is too, with any of these organized leagues, whether it's third league all the way up to the Champions League, this is not a game for flesh bodies.
No, it isn't.
You know, this is a game for cyborgs.
Yeah.
For-
In fact, they do say, at least in the notations in Ito's journal, there is it is against the rules to inflict a flesh wound on the target
yeah.
or on another player.
Yeah.
But since predominantly it's just the brain, that means there's a lot of the body that's, you know, basically open to targeting.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like in the movie when I guess Kanuba, you know, kind of went through Adjicutty with those grind cutters.
He ripped him to pieces.
Oh, he was in pieces all over the track, and then of course later on we see him in the Kansas bar. So, yeah, I guess that's I guess they didn't hurt any of his organic parts anyway, as they would say, you know. So. So anyway, but these are in the movie, and I guess you're right too, Lee. There could be, you could stick the third league in here too, because there is some backstory on that, you know. But I think in the movie what they primarily referenced was the second league in the Champions League, you know. And
well, that would also, you know, sort of lean into the movie not having a lot of time in order to flesh some stuff out. So they had to stick to basically what was directly impacting Alita's story.
Well, if Alita Battle Angel had been 3 hours, say, they could have probably gone into a little bit more on Motorball, how it's set up, you know. That would have been interesting. I think you guys probably remember, I guess it was a year ago or so, or maybe it might have been 2 years ago, where we did that stream on Radio Chaos about Rollerball, which is a very similar sport in some regards to Motorball.
Yeah, based on a much older movie.
Yeah, it's came out in '73, I think, or somewhere in there.
75.
75.
Rollerball,
okay.
James Caan. Yep.
But anyway, yeah, I saw that movie 4 or 5 times. It was, I really enjoyed it, and I've got a copy of it at the house too. So, but anyway, that game is played by, you know, human beings. I mean, no cyborgs are in that thing, you know.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is about it too is that, you know, with Rollerball, it's kind of more of a team-oriented sport. Although they can play teams in Motorball, but in Rollerball they had teams in different cities, you know, that played each other. Whereas in Motorball, they kind of don't have that, you know, or at least they didn't reference.
At least they didn't show it or anything.
Yeah,
they didn't show a lot of. There's probably a whole lot of intricacies in Motorball that just did not get shown in the movie.
Well, you know, I think in the manga and in some of the backstory and stuff like that, they talk about the different Motorball tracks, because in the movie we only saw the one, you know, it was in Iron City, but different, you know, there'd be different tracks around, and they even had somewhat different, I wouldn't say different rules necessarily, but it was set up a little bit different, you know. This is pretty cool, Chaos. Let me put this in the chat here.
Actually, if I can screen share, I'll get it uploaded. So just a minute.
Yeah. So anyway, this is now that we had a discussion of whether or not Kishiro had watched Rollerball and said, "Oh, I want to put that in mine. I'll call it Motorball," you know. But But later on, I think we heard that wasn't the case. But I'm not sure about that. I mean, certainly he probably.
I'm actually certain, not Rollerball, but I'm certain, given that he actually does the song later in the manga word for word of Carmina Burana from Excalibur, that he actually watched Excalibur 1981.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a weird movie. Had some weird scenes in it.
You mean the Holy Grail? Yeah. I wasn't sure it was real on that part.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the one with King Arthur and all that good stuff in it. So yeah. It's kind of, I mean, I enjoyed it, but it had some weird play themes in it. So but anyway. So anyway, this is primarily what we saw mostly in the movie, and Lee did bring up that there is a third league. That's for sure. You know, we don't have it here, but you know, in the movie, we kind of get the feeling that okay, we had these kids playing street motorball, and there's a second and first league. You know, so
yeah, that's the thing. I don't think the street games are actually part of the official motorball thing. It's just something that people do, like like the sports that we might play with friends on a grassy field or something.
Yeah, and I think with street motorball too, you might get a person that maybe, I mean, certainly cyborgs can play in street motorball. There's nothing to say they can't, because Alita played in it,
Yeah.
And if they started getting a little better at street motorball, then they say, well, maybe I should try the third league or something like that. There's that possibility, so
scrape together some parts and money, try to put together a basic motorball body so they don't, wreck their street body.
Well, the whole thing of it is too, is that this playing motorball, of course, now this is certainly in a kind of a fictitious universe, but investing in being able to play motorball is probably expensive. So particularly as you go up the chain, when by the time you get to the Champions League, you would get the feeling that everybody in the Champions League is probably millionaires, because you're
very close to it, at least.
Yeah, for sure. So they're not going to be able to just, I mean, if they get a part destroyed, who knows how much that would cost? Might cost them what we would consider $100,000, might be 100,000 credits or something like that.
Which would be a consideration of how much do you want to invest in really good parts for your body, considering how easily they'll be destroyed in the track. I mean, if you're really good, you can probably keep a lot of that expensive stuff from getting damaged or destroyed in some fashion, or at least easily damaged and destroyed. So you'd probably be wise to expend or invest a lot of your money into more expensive, more powerful, high-performance parts.
Yeah, you could do that, or you could even do this. If you were earning a decent living in the third league, maybe you're not getting rich, but you're able to live somewhat comfortably, on the money you make in the third league. You might say, well, I don't want to risk, going up to a higher league where I could get seriously injured. Here's Künstler. Hello, Künstler 99.
How's it going?
How's it going, man? We hadn't seen you in a while.
Yeah, I know. I've been busy with, a baby and all,
Yeah, how's that? Yeah, that's right. I meant to congratulate you on that. How's that going? You getting a lot of sleep these days?
Believe it or not, my first daughter slept actually through the night most nights after like the first month. This one will sleep through the night, believe it or not, which is crazy.
Whoa, nice. Huh.
Yeah, nice. Usually the first one acts really well just to, lull you into a false sense of security. And then the second one is just a little bit more trouble, but
yeah, that's right. Well, anyway, Jeffrey, it's Jeffrey's from Chicago, Illinois, of course. So good to have you on there, Künstler 99. So anyway, here's the motorball. Here's what we're going to talk about now. We can discuss the third league a little bit too, but this is primarily what we saw in the movie, and since we do want to see a sequel or a series, I'm sorry, I misspoke. We don't want to see a sequel or a series. We want to see a sequel
and a series. Yeah.
And
I want it all.
That's right, Angel. So
I want it now.
That's right. I want it now. I want it all. Yeah, that's right. So anyway, let's talk about Alita and Street Motorball. Now, of course, you only had that one scene, all that kind of stuff, and it's like Lee was saying, this is not organized. This is like playing sandlot baseball or football or something like that, or on a field, just some friends getting together playing soccer, or as they say in Germany, foosball. I mean, same thing. So, but where it might come into play, in a sequel, let's say, is that we might see a flashback. For instance, there's that deleted scene where Alita, now I think she was probably in that deleted scene in her berserker body, so if that was the case, then certainly, she's not going to be in a berserker body there in the movie. Now, in the novelization, I think she was in her doll body, because I think Hugo was kind of, he kind of got mesmerized by Alita when he was, taking her real feet off and putting her wheel feet on. So he was kind of, whoa, she looks nice, stuff like this, and I think that was in a doll body, but she was still incredibly good in that doll body. So that would have had to been before a second league tryout, because you remember in the movie, her second league, what was supposed to be a second league tryout from her perspective, which turned out to be murder ball, of course. She was in a berserker body there, So, but what we see is maybe that flashback, of Alita and Hugo training, and in the novelization, Alita pretty much obliterates a little training course, I guess, that Hugo and Tanji had put together. And they had dummies, mannequin type things out there, and they had obstacles and, posts and stuff like that. And she just totally destroyed the whole track, where they where they had practiced, because she was, because she's not an organic. I mean, she is organic in her brain, of course, and we've said that many times. She's a human, but she is a cyborg, and they are not a soft body; they're hard bodies, And she just pretty much obliterated their little training track, So we might see, hopefully, in a sequel, we might see a flashback, of her doing that training. We might even see a little bit more Street Motorball in the series, where maybe, there might be some flashback there too. They might even flash back to that original scene, in a series, when Alita maybe is getting ready to play in the second league, and she thinks back of, I've come a long way, since I played Motorball in the street, or something like that. And you'd see a little bit of a flashback there, So I think that would be kind of interesting. One thing that would be interesting is there were a lot of players in that Street Motorball game. It'd be neat to see who they were in the movie. Like I know there was a couple of them in there that actually professional X Games players, And of course, one of Tanji and, or rather Hugo and Tanji's, one of on their Jacker team, there was a guy named Biff. He's the guy that had the dreadlocks. He was playing in that street game too. So it'd be kind of neat to see some of these other players in that game, and just kind of get a little bit of a sense of who they are. I mean, they certainly are not going to have a time to go back into the backstory of every one of those players, because there was like 8 of them out there. So they're not going to be able to do that, But just a little bit of a sense of who they are. Type thing. That'd be kind of neat, I think, in terms of her playing just Street Motorball. So what do you guys think about that? Any other thoughts about Alita playing Street Motorball in a series or sequel?
Probably as flashbacks to maybe a couple of moments with her and Hugo. I don't think if it's a series introducing the players, probably not a big deal, because a series is going to have a lot more time to develop stuff. But when you put them into a movie, introducing other players is probably not the best use of time, as nice as it might be.
Yeah. Well, there's been a discussion of whether Hugo would come back in a sequel, in which I don't think he should,
Yeah, as a flashback or something like that, sure. But
maybe
actually have him physically returning in some fashion, I'm not sure what the reason is.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm sorry about that, Lee. I caught you in mid sentence.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So anyway, Lee, go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish your thought there. I clicked on the thing accidentally there, I think.
I was just going to say, it's like having him come back, as a actual person again.
Yeah.
They'd have to come up with some interesting plot twist for that to be, to be something that would really, fit, I guess.
Well, one thing they could do in a series is in one of the early episodes, the first or second episode, probably, maybe second episode, they could do a timeline there that was before Hugo falling off of the supply tube, where he and Alita are playing all that, but they presented the whole episode as her flashback, and he could.
That's the thing. They could do a
that.
lot of the stuff with him telling her about why it is he feels the way he does about cyborgs to some degree. I mean, talking about his father, what happened to him, and why he tries so hard to work his way up to Zalem, because he's trying to get away from everything that happened to his family and all that.
Yeah. Well, they could devote part of an episode in a series to Hugo actually training Alita and giving her tips.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
One of the things in the novelization was he had told Alita, when she was practicing for what she thought was a second league tryout, is that you've got to be faster than them. You've always got to be faster than them, and telling her that, listen to the engines, because
listen for the audio cues,
and
pay
stuff
attention
like
to
that,
the sort of
the
kind of tricks that each one will have and stuff like that. Yeah, there was a I think 2 or 3 different little scenes in the novelization that could easily be put into a series or something like that, where she could, fall back or sort of be recalling it in a flashback form, or can have Kanan Johnson reprise his role for a little bit, telling her about some of that stuff. So we get a little bit of what we didn't get in the movie in the series.
Yeah, there's that one scene, I guess, where she's skating around in the novelization, and she hands him a 2x4, and she says, "When I skate around here, I want you to hit me with that." He says, "Are you sure about that?" And she says, "Yeah, don't hold back." And she was serious, and he was afraid. So if I hold back, she's going to hurt me, because she wanted to remember, what was going on, with her bind and stuff like that.
Yeah, she was hoping even a simulated quote unquote combat situation might re-spark some of her memory.
Yeah, I think so. And she ended up, where he swings the 2x4 at her, and Finn, I don't think we'll see Figure 4 in a flashback in terms of Motorball. I don't think we'll see that, because Figure 4 she didn't know Figure 4 when she was playing Motorball. So, Figure 4 is a Badlands arc. So
yeah, I think Figure 4 is actually 10 years after all of that happens.
Yeah, that's right.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, because even in my little story, that's even before she meets Figure 4. It's right after Motorball, but she doesn't know who he is. I mean, it's because she's never been out of the Iron City. Well, except
she's
I
been
guess
in the Toon program for a few years at that point.
Well, I guess in your story, I guess her and Alita, Koyomi, Ito, and Jason are going to go out to the Badlands and find that truck he was driving. Which I'm kind of can't wait to read that thing.
It's a little bit more than just the truck, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, but yeah, I think some, harken back to a street Motorball type of, kind of a scene or something like that would be certainly appropriate, especially in the series. But if they do it in the sequel, they won't have a lot of time. They maybe just a quick flashback, maybe where she's standing there and Hugo skates up and she says, Hugo, like that. And then she kind of shakes her head, something like that, sees him skating toward her and stuff, That's about all they could do in the movie, I think, So, any other thoughts about Alita and Street Motorball, guys?
Nothing but ooh thoughts.
Yeah, even there in that picture. I mean,
She even
granted,
kicks ass.
but she's a
She looks
teenager.
good while doing it.
Yeah, well, she's a teenager, but yeah, she's still cute, isn't she? She looks a little intense there on that shot. That's where she's going after Tanji, I guess.
Yeah, she's a bit focused.
Yeah, she's yeah. You're not getting away from me, big boy. Yeah, I remember watching that scene the first time, and Hugo goes to help her up, and she pushes her hands up, stands up. I went, oh shit.
Yeah, you could tell she was. Yeah, you're not getting away with that.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I need to go AFK real quick.
Okay. Anything else, Angelus? You or Chaos can think of anything about any kind of potential motorball scenes, street motorball scenes, rather in the series or a sequel?
No. Mind blank.
All right. Well, there's the uwu for you there, Angelus. So that's yeah, she's cute. She's cute. Let's move on to the second league, I guess. Now that shot there is certainly, we remember that one. That's the murder ball thing, but it's supposed to be second league, although the players in that thing weren't really second league players. They were presented as a factory practice team, which I guess would either be a third league team or just players that, are kind of like you have in football, I guess, where you have a practice squad that plays against the first string or something like that, But, the second league, there's that one shot or at the end of the movie where she's pointing the Damascus blade up at Zalem, like telling Nova, I'm coming for you, kind of thing, and then kind of ignites her plasma weapon, and, kind of, he's up there smirking, thinking, yeah, you're not ever going to get up here, But anyway, between that period of time when she's doing that and when Hugo has fallen off the supply tube, there's several months there. I believe it's like 6 months. It probably max be 6 months. 3 to 6 months is what I think it'd be there, because I think a league like that is going to require several matches before you can figure out who's going to be the champion, So I think what I would like to see in a series particularly is what happened between the time that Hugo falls off of the supply tube and when she skates out onto that platform and points the Damascus blade up at Zalem, That's what I would like to see. I'd like to see that whole series of events, that take place with her winning the second league championship. That would be a cool thing, I think, So any thoughts about that, guys?
Sounds good to me. What I did catch of it.
Yeah.
Make a good series.
Yeah. It'd be a series. I don't think that would work in a sequel, because the sequel is already at the movie is already at the very end. That last shot is already past the second league, so I don't think that would work too much.
Probably not, because of the timing and the lack of the amount of time it would take to tell all of that. They don't have a lot of time to do that. But with the series, they would have much more leeway to have that kind of time. But in a movie, it'd be a bit packed.
Well, I think too, it'd be a little bit of a continuity issue too. People that had seen the movie would say, well, whoa, what are we looking at here? Stuff like that, and they would have to have some kind of explanatory kind of scene or
why they're rewinding things.
Yeah, why they're doing that. And I think that would detract from the main story. So this is why I think that it would work best as a series. Now, to me, I would love to see a live action series, but I could live with an anime, particularly if they do it in the style of the way animes are done now. 90s anime was pretty cool, and I know a lot of people like it, but to me, the graphics are a lot better now. That's my opinion, so don't get all upset now because Creek doesn't like my 90s anime. So I do like the 90s anime, but I think now with the way they can render characters and stuff like that, they didn't have the computing power back in the 90s to do what they can do now, and I think it would look better, just from a presentation standpoint, Now they could do a short segment in the sequel. Maybe they could do something like the last match, that Alita has to win the second league championship, or they could do something like her very first match in the Champions League, something like this. They could do that at the very beginning of the movie, but they wouldn't be able to spend a lot of time on it. It would be like Rollerball, in the movie Rollerball that you saw Chaos just put that nice little, salute, Alita Battle Angel saluting James Caan. But what they did was at the beginning of the movie, they had an actual kind of almost like what you would see as highlights from a game of some kind, whether it's football, baseball, or cricket, or something like that. Where they condense it down into like a few minutes, and they had the game in Rollerball of Houston, which was where the titular character Jonathan E was on that team. He was a star. He was a Rollerball star, the Rollerball champion, and against this other team from Madrid, Spain. And it kind of gave you a feel for how the game's played and how you win the game and the players and stuff like that, and it was like a little 4-minute spot, that you got, okay, this is what Rollerball is like. They could do something like that with Alita, although you do kind of see that in the movie already particularly in that first, where I guess Kanuba wins that match, where he goes.
There's also the part where Vector directly quotes the movie Rollerball when he says, "No one is greater than the game." To Kanuba.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because that's what I guess John Houseman's character. I can't remember his name in the movie. He was the CEO of Energy, I think it was.
Yes.
In Houston, and he said he told Jonathan E. no one's greater than the game, And Jonathan E. wasn't thinking in those terms. He just wanted to play, And then, of course, at that point, when he got to that point, now he's worried about his teammates because they changed in the rules because they're trying to kill him, trying to kill Jonathan E., which means that all the other players are in danger too because the rules are getting, or the game is becoming more and more lethal, And, it's just... he gets to the point where he's almost in the mode of almost like what you would think like a hero or something, although he's not a hero in the movie, obviously, he's just a professional rollerball player, but he is concerned for his teammates, and stuff like that. So, but I could see them doing this, and in the second league, and of course, we talked a little bit about this on the last slide, but it would be kind of neat. They could either do it here or maybe even if they did a third league thing or the street motorball thing, a little bit of a primer, about how motorball is played, the objective, how you win the game.
One of the things they could probably do with that is maybe have like somebody who's maybe new to the sport asking somebody else about it and have them, sort of do an in-universe sort of explanation to the newcomer to how some of that stuff works.
Well, they had something like that in Rollerball when, they had these new players come up. Jonathan E. was, Finn likes, Finn likes Maze Runner. So, yep. But anyway, let me get back to my brain went sideways on that. So anyway, but they kind of had a scene like that in Rollerball where, there was a guy there. He had played for a lower league team, I guess, in New Zealand, I guess is where it was, and his name was Tuffy, I think is what they called him. He's a real big guy, And Jonathan he wasn't paying attention. Jonathan was kind of giving these guys a little bit of a talk about the game and the ball. Don't put your hand in that channel or whatever that gutter is when the ball's there to take your arm off, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Tuffy's just kind of laying there, and Jonathan noticed. He said, "You're not paying very much attention," And of course, Jonathan E's friend called, I guess he was called the Swooper. I can't remember his name now, but he said, "Oh, that's our new speedball, Tuffy. He's our new player, And Jonathan says, "Okay, why don't you just skate around the track here, and while I'm explaining to these guys, just take me out, And the guy skates around like that, and then just before he gets to Jonathan kind of does a little bit of a parry and a dodge, and he trips the guy up, and the guy goes flying, big guy, And Jonathan looks at him, he says, "Ears, they're real important too."
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, just like you hear them, and how close they are and stuff like that. Some things like that in Motorball, I think, would really work. For people that want to.
Well, that's there's a term for that on the battlefield: situational awareness, being able to hear audio cues, identify weapons by the kind of sound they make when they fire. I mean, all that, like you were saying, it applies to Motorball as well. The sound of someone's engine, maybe even the sound of a specific weapon that they might use,
or the recognition of a certain situation. That comes up,
like hearing somebody moving from one side of the track to the other might signal, especially if you know who's behind you, it might signal the start of a certain type of tactic that they're known to use.
Yeah. And they could do something like a training session. Alita, you remember, she puts together a team to fight Joshigan,
Yep.
And of course, Joshigan easily takes them all out, except for her, And then he gets to her, and it gets to be a battle, Eventually, I guess she was beating him. And then he kind of, does one last supercharged thing, and he punches right through her in the manga, and then he dies. So, it's kind of a shallow victory, isn't it? So, but anyway, something like that, I think, seeing that they could do a complete series on her winning the second league championship. Or they could do some short sequel, segment in the sequel that sort of explains a little bit about Motorball, so people aren't totally lost. Just kind of like an explanatory thing is what I think. So anyway,
I was just thinking too, something that might be used for Joshigan in the manga. He was just fighting because of the challenge of the fight, the battle, all that stuff. In the movie, though, they have that thing where Final Champion gets to go to Zalem.
Yes.
So I was kind of thinking, like, what if Joshigan does have his sister, as in the manga, but he's fighting to get Final Champion for her sake, so she can go to Zalem instead.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Oh, I'd love be, part of the motivation for him doing so in the movie.
Well, I'd like to see them have Shamira in the sequel. That'd be some more ooh-woo, wouldn't it, Angela? A nice little blonde ooh-woo there going on, I guess. So that'd be kind of cool, I think, though. Yeah, having Shamira in there, And,
who would they get to play her, though?
I don't know. I mean, there's a ton of actresses, that might do that. Hello, channel does not exist. How you doing, lady?
Hello.
Howdy.
Hi. You can see. Is my avatar visible because I'm the first? Is this the first time using?
Not yet.
Calling from my phone. Okay, so it's not gonna be visible.
Every time you use a new device, you need to get a new avatar from that device. It's annoying. Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's okay. We're glad you're with us anyway, channel. And for those of you that don't know, that didn't tune in last week, Channel is our Alita Triviaverse champion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes. Oh, that reminds me. I gotta whip up a certificate, so so we could make that happen. So maybe do one for Cran too. I mean, do one for Cran for last year and Channel for this year, I guess, something like that. So yeah. So how's it going there in Poland, there, Channel?
Fine. I am on vacation. I should probably.
Where are you?
I'm not gonna say the address, but I am gonna say that the internet is horrible and I had to move to closer to the router because I couldn't hear anything.
Oh, okay. So you're on vacation. Where are you on vacation?
Wrocław.
Where is that?
Yeah, exactly. That's why no one.
Oh.
That won't be telling anyone much.
Okay. So anyway, Channel, any thoughts about Alita playing in a sequel or in the sequel or a series, whether it's anime or live action, in terms of her playing Motorball in the second league? Any thoughts about that?
Well, if they'll have to put it in the sequel, because as much as we did see a little bit of it in the first movie, we didn't see any of the Joshua arc, which to have a Joshua arc without Alita playing Motorball would require quite a lot of mental gymnastics.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we were kind of alluding to a while ago, that there's a lot that needs to happen before we see her playing Joshua.
Shumira needs to happen.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. And kind of one of the things I said I'd like to see is a series of her winning the second league championship. In other words, she probably had to go through several matches, because in the movie, it's at least, in my opinion, at least 3 months after Hugo falls off of after he falls from the supply tube, to the point where Alita points her Damascus blade at Zalem. And I think it's even longer than that. I think it's like 6 months, because in both our major sports leagues here, we got 4 of them actually. We got hockey, basketball, baseball, and football, American football anyway. Those are long series, seasons. So I would think that Motorball would be kind of similar. It may not be quite as many months, but it's going to be more than just a few weeks. It would be,
considering its role as a safety valve for all the frustrations and pressures building up in Iron City, at least according to the manga, it's very. It seems to me more reasonable to have it be as drawn out as possible, so people get as much out of it as possible.
Yes.
To provide a better, release valve, as it were, for the population in Iron City, as things get a little progressively worse over time.
Well, I too think with a series, it's kind of like the difference between a novel and a short story, With a series, you can really put a lot of detail in several episodes.
Yeah.
That's where this would fit really well, I think.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think you'd meet some of the players that she competes against in the second league and stuff like that, and
in the movie, you'd have a tighter time constraint, which means you couldn't do as much. So the more people you add, the less you can do with each of them.
Yeah, which is why the second league thing wouldn't work in the sequel anyway, because she's already at the end of the first movie, she's already the second league champion. So she's won already.
Yeah, so she's moving up to championship league at that point. Right.
Yeah. So how did that happen? Yeah, go ahead.
You have to slightly flash back in the first movie, or rather treat the last part of the first movie as a flash forward, with the first part of the new movie as I think it's called the midquel if it's happening in the middle of the old movie. And then the scene with other cover on it itself, or probably they just skip it and show her already in the final league.
Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, that's kind of what we talked about too a while ago, but I agree with you that you would need something in the sequel just to get people's brains wrapped around the fact that Alita didn't just show up and start playing the Champions League, So you could have a little bit of a thing about her being the second league champion, how she got there, very, very short segment. But in the series, you could put a lot into that. You could series, you know, certainly a lot of them can be 6 episodes, but you can make it 8. 8 45-minute episodes. You know, you could put a lot of content in there on that one. You know, all the little nuances of her winning and playing and competing against others and stuff like that. You know, you could even have a little drama in there. You know, how Zalem is trying to keep her from winning the second league championship so she don't make it to the Champions League and possibly win the Champions League. You know, you could have a lot of little things going on like that in that series that you couldn't devote as much time to in a sequel. So
when you said Zalem trying to stop her from winning, I was thinking Nova's internal conflict of what's more important, having the enjoyment of watching her win because she's interesting and what she's gonna do, or the basic self-preservation of if she's gonna win, she's gonna want to kill me.
Yes, that's exactly
what's stronger?
Yes.
Nova's need to test Alita or Nova's self-preservation?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was thinking, I mean, I've raised this before. It's like, even if she does win, he's under no obligation whatsoever to allow her up there.
Yeah.
I mean, he could let her go through, let her have the championship if she, you know, managed to get through and win it, and then just say, no, you're not coming up.
Yeah.
What's she going to do? Climb the tube?
Yeah. Well, like I said in a previous stream, Alita's pretty resourceful. She may find a way to get up there.
Yeah.
You know, now
here's another possibility too. She wins. She gains the permission to enter Zalem, and Nova simply has her, while she's on the maintenance stand, somehow has either an agent or some other means is used to disable her, pulls her core out, and leaves her as a core and brings her up that way.
Mm-hmm.
So now she's completely at his mercy.
Yeah.
So how does she deal with that situation?
Well, she would deal with it, but I think in the case of Nova, at that point, I think he wouldn't want to kill her because he's so interested in what she's doing.
Yeah, which is why I was saying he brings her up as a core instead of killing her outright. He's like, he brings her up for some reason.
Yeah.
Could be that, you know, maybe he's got some kind of offer to make her part of this new tuned program or something.
Yeah. Put her in the tune program and let's see how she does.
Which unfortunately does end up bypassing one particular thing that a lot of people do want to see, which is the Zerker arc.
Yes.
So it might have to be something else.
Yeah, that's right. If they did that, that's right. Because if they take her up to Zalem after winning that championship, that's right. They're not going to do the Zerker arc, which
so you'd have to have some things shifted around and something have to, you know, be altered in some way. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things, the more I think about it, the more I realize there's a lot of divergence, or a lot more divergence than initially seemed between the movie verse and the manga verse.
Well, the thing of what they could do with her in that regard, if they wanted to do the Zerker arc, which I hope they do, is that, you know, when she wins the Champions League, if she wins it, then, you know, Ito is smart. He has the idea, don't get in that maintenance rack. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Because here's why, you know, why you'll be vulnerable in there and they'll take advantage of you. So she refuses to go in there.
That is a possibility. As she wins and they're having the what do you call that? The sort of celebratory thing.
Yeah, presentation of the trophy or whatever.
That kind of thing. Yeah, basically. Suddenly there's alarms going off and, well, you have a Zerker on the loose. Maybe that's when they could do it.
Yeah, they could do something like
something along those lines, maybe.
Except who put the pan in the berserker body? Did Nova? Okay, it could have been someone in the maintenance base was hijacked by Nova.
If you'll pardon the language, Nova likes fucking with people.
Yeah,
but physically, okay, someone from the. Because my first thought was, how did Nova get downstairs to do that? But I realized that
he doesn't need to.
He hijacked someone from the maintenance crew.
We could have one of his clones go down there at least.
I mean, that's the thing. Nova, in the position he's in the movie, has complete control over both Iron City and Zalem.
Yeah.
Or at least Iron City, at least. And presumably a good deal of Zalem. So he's got everything he needs to have, whatever he wants done, implemented.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a few ways they could do it, and Lita Kalogridis and James Cameron are pretty resourceful at writing scripts and treatments and stories. They're pretty good at it.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, I think I saw something on Twitter the other day that he's actually started writing Terminator 7.
That should be interesting.
Yeah. And some folks kind of got, oh my God, he's working on Terminator. What about Alita? They forget he's already done 600 pages of Alita.
Yeah, Alita already got finished, and then he handed it off to Robert Rodriguez, who trimmed it down even further into a workable set of scripts. Yeah. So it's already been dealt with.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of filming it and putting it out into theaters and stuff, getting it out into the world.
Yeah. Oh, I want them to do that sequel. God.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, I have to head off, so.
All right, Lee. Well, I'm glad you could, you hung with us there for a while.
Oh, me too. It was fun. You guys take care. Have fun.
All right. We'll catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Angelus, Chaos or Channel, any thoughts about Alita playing in the second league? Now, this is before she's in the platform pointing the Damascus blade at Zalem. That period of time between Hugo falling to his death and when her first match in the Champions League. Oh, we lost Channel. Yeah, well, she was on her phone as well. Angelus, any thoughts? Looks like the Creek is on his own. Los Angeles is muted. Okay, well, you guys know how I want to do this. I want to see a complete series on Alita winning the second league championship. Now, whether it's anime or it's live action, I think I would prefer live action, but I could go either way. I'd be happy to watch either one. So. Okay, let's move on to the Champions League. Definitely. Oh, there's Channel. There you are, Miss Channel. Let me.
My phone fell down.
Yeah, that's all right. What I had asked, I said, is there anything that you can think of that maybe we didn't cover about Alita playing in the second league that could either be in the any
I didn't watch the first half hour, so I don't know what you covered.
Well, the first half hour, well, not the entire half hour, but before we got to the motorball stuff, we just talked about street motorball. So, I mean, it wasn't, there's nothing, to it in terms of, being in the second league. It's just her playing in the street with Hugo and Tanji and Koyomi and those folks, So, no thoughts. Okay. And of course, as long as Alita's got her uwu going, I think Angelus will be happy with that. So.
Count?
Yeah.
Does the Sonic Finger arc count?
Sonic Finger, I don't know if that would be in the sequel or not. It'd be kind of cool, I think. It definitely would be, I think. So, I don't know. What's your thoughts? Are you there, Chad? Oh, okay. Yeah, it looks like your audio is kind of breaking up a little bit, I think. Yeah, you muted? Yeah, Channel had brought up the Sonic Finger, that story of the Sonic Finger. I'm not sure. Well, I mean, I certainly would like to see that in the sequel. They could even they could include it in the series. I think here, though, we're talking about Motorball, and that really the Sonic Finger. And it's been a while since I've read that, but I don't think it has that much of a bearing on the Motorball itself. Maybe it does. I just forgot. So
It's not really. It's not really important for the plot in any way. It's a side story. It just happens during the Motorball arc.
Yeah, that's right. So I mean, I think.
No, it happens slightly after the Motorball arc because Alita and Ido are reconnected in that one. So it has to happen between Motorball and Zerkapan.
Yeah, that's right. So that could be like right here. It could be while she's competing in the second league. They could have maybe if they had like an 8-episode series, and one of the episodes would be the Sonic Finger story. They could do something like that. I think. I think that would work. For sure, So anyway, the Champions League. Now this is in the manga. It's called the First League or the Top League. Even I think I've seen it called that too. Is that it? Definitely, we got to see this in the sequel, and this would be the arc that would precede the Zerkapan arc. Because one of the things that's going to happen during all of her playing Motorball is Japan is going to see her on one of those big screens, and it's going to trigger him big time. It's going to trigger him to the point that he accidentally kills Sarah and he just goes nuts. So definitely we would see this. It may overlap a little bit, with the Motorball arc. But I think this is primarily an after Motorball thing because Alita's playing Motorball. That's what triggers him. That could be in the sequel too. As a matter of fact, if the Creek has his way, the sequel is going to be 3 hours long. It's going to have both arcs in it. So now whether we get that or not, it's another story. But that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see both arcs in one movie. Certainly, we want to see her compete against Jashigan. For the Champions League or the First League Championship. And it would be neat to get a little bit of a story behind the other players. They couldn't spend a lot of time, on the Champions League in the movie in that arc because you got a lot of players. If you went into all their backstories, take too much time. But some sense of who Crimson Wind is. Some sense of who Adjicutty is. Now, we kind of had an idea about those two. Even Jashigan, we got exposed to them, but we really didn't get in. They didn't get into too much about who they were and stuff like that. They could spend maybe a couple of minutes, and cut some of the players just to give you a sense of who they are, and where they stand in the Motorball standings and stuff like that. How many points do they need to get to win and stuff like that.
Are they gonna keep the Turtle Man? I don't remember his name, just the Motorballer that looks like a giant turtle.
The Turtle Man, what was his name?
What, the guy who's really big with like
Eagle.
Yeah, Teagle, that's right. Yeah. He was the guy that never won, is that right?
Yeah, he won exactly once.
Yeah, he won once. Yeah, that's right.
That's why it's the first one in the game that I was showing you. That I was showing earlier before channel stopped on.
Yeah. So anyway, just to give us an idea of some of these other players. Now they're going to have to make the movie long if they do this. If they spend any kind of time at all on the players, like Adjicutty and Crimson Wind, and maybe Nausicaa, that'd be another player. Claymore would be another player. Scaramascus would be another player. See, that's the more and more players, the more and more time they spend on this. That's going to expand that movie. So they would have to be pretty smart about how they presented them, But I would like to see that, because it would kind of get frame about how good Alita would have to be to beat these players. It'd be kind of neat to see that. Kind of gives us an idea of her ability as a Motorball player, Any other thoughts, you guys?
I should probably remind that if they will go into backstory and personality, they will likely change from the manga, as you can see in the first movie, that Hugo's backstory is completely cut, but instead we got an Ido backstory and also a backstory for Ido and Sharon, which has nothing to do with the manga.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which in fact contradicts the whole Zalamites being sterile in the manga.
Yeah.
Okay, the manga contradicts itself on the point of Zalamites being sterile, which I guess it still makes sense if only the women in Zalam are sterile and the men aren't. I'm getting off topic, but as I said.
Okay.
If they cut Hugo's backstory, they can cut a lot of things.
Yeah, well, they definitely cut Hugo's backstory, but I don't know. I don't think they could go into too much detail on the backstories of these players, though. I think
it's more important to it would work better to show them interacting, because the way they behave now is probably more important than the backstory, and you can't really. It would be really hard to balance 6 backstories.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that, because they didn't go into Grishka's backstory either, and in the novelization, he was a contender for final champion, so he was going to challenge Joshigan, I guess, and of course, you don't.
I like better the child in the sewers version.
Say again, Channel.
I kind of like better the child in the sewers version.
Okay.
The manga.
Yeah, in the manga, yeah, or manga. Sorry, Angelus made me pronounce it incorrectly. No, manga.
Oh, it's just the
Yeah.
No.
Manga. I pronounce it manga.
Yeah, but what I was talking about, though, is I just like to get a little information about the players, so you can kind of get a feel for how good they are, as motorball players, and they don't have a lot of time to do that. So yeah, I think it would be a combination channel of them interacting with each other and just get a little information on each one, or maybe the more important ones. It probably could do each one, because there was like 8 of them, so you can't spend half an hour, in a movie like that telling us about individual players, so you'd have to kind of put it together in a very brief, very concise, but, a pretty good synopsis to give us the idea that, this is who Alita is competing with, and they're good, So anyway, that was my thoughts on the players. It's different than here, I guess, where let me go back to this one. Here, if they did something like this in a series where they introduce other players, if they could spend more time, on the players in a series, because they could put like an 8-episode series together, and they could spend, a decent amount of time on each player. They kind of did that in The Mandalorian season 2, I guess, or not Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett. Rather, not Mandalorian. Book of Boba Fett, remember, they had one whole episode on just what the Mandalorian was doing, and Boba Fett wasn't in it, So they could do something somewhat similar to that, although I don't know if they'd put a whole episode toward a player like that that's not Alita,
They could have if it was Joshigan.
Well,
it was about Joshigan and Ed, or the Alita's trainer was Ed, right? The one that was used to play.
So I guess I didn't understand. What was you?
Was Alita's trainer the one that used to play Motorball was called Ed, because I said that the only situation where they could make an entire episode about Motorball other than Alita is if it was about Joshigan and Ed.
Yeah, Ed. Yeah, they could do something with Ed like that, or Ezdoc is what they call him in the manga, I guess. But yeah, they could do something like that with Ed. I think they could spend a little more time on him, because part of his backstory, is that he was a player and he got injured severely and he can't play now. So now he's living vicariously through Alita to try to win the final champion, So that's kind of what he's doing there.
I wonder if Ezdoc will even be in the next movie, or will they fuse him with another character or dump him completely?
Oh, I hope they put him in the next movie, because I think he's kind of an important character. I don't know if they could just throw it, and as a matter of fact, there was one scene there, one shot, I guess, when she's in the locker room preparing for what she thought was her tryout, this guy walking, Maxie points out that that's Ed. So they kind of got it set up a little bit for that, I guess. So So anyway, what are y'all's thoughts about, you know, Alita in the Champions League in terms of the sequel, or it could be a series if they wanted to do that. I think this would work better in the sequel, though. I think.
Yeah, I just feel that Ed's important.
Yeah, Ed's pretty important. Agreed. You were going to say something, Channel?
I hope they keep the comedic elements of the slapstick violence and the more vulgar humor, like Alita saying, declaring her who she wants on her team, and saying that anyone who disagrees with her choice of team is a coward.
Yeah, that. Well, she certainly would do that, wouldn't she?
Or the one with Ido breaking breaking someone's head in with a pipe because he realizes the booze he got from Vector is too expensive to waste on people booing Alita.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
After already breaking one bottle.
Well, she certainly, I think, when she puts.
I know they can't keep all of it in, but it.
No, go ahead. Well, I certainly think it would be neat to see her have control of her team, and how Ed, you know, Ed in the manga, Ed kind of has a little bit of control over her. Matter of fact, there was one time I think he slapped her, didn't he? Ed did, and she just took it. Because I guess she doesn't figure he's not a threat, you know. So. And plus, he's trying to help her too. You know, I think it was that scene where Ed figured out that, you know, she's not going to, Motorball's not that important to her like other players. And I think Adjicutty didn't like it either. And, you know, said that all the other players here, this is, you know, this is our profession, or this is our life, or something like that. And you're just an outsider, you know. And she says, yeah, I'm an outsider. So, you know, and she said, yeah, so what? I'm an outsider. Something like that anyway. Any other thoughts?
Will they have a rift between Alita and, I think it was brought up on an earlier stream, but will they have a rift between Alita and Ido that would lead Ido to work for Josh again, hoping to scare Alita back to him? Because there's really no setup for it in the movie so far.
Yeah.
Unless Alita distancing herself from Ido because she's stupid, doesn't want to get distracted, or because she's scared
Well, she might distance herself from Ido, because we talked about this on another stream, where she's afraid that her enemies might, you know, come after her and maybe miss her or something, and then Ido or Gearhead get injured from it or killed or something like that. You know, I think that was one thought we had. You know, I would like to see Alita. It would be kind of interesting to see that dynamic if Alita moves out, she gets her own apartment, and kind of like she does in the manga, you know, and she's in the civilian body and stuff like that. And Ido wants, like you were saying, Channel, Ido wants her to come back, you know, and he can't get her to come back. So he says, like you say, well, I'm going to go back to Motorball, and I'll be Joshigan's tuner, and that'll get Alita back, you know. And I think there was that one scene in the manga, you know, where Alita and well, there was actually two scenes where Alita kind of snubs Ido, you know, when he's at the track trying to get her attention. But there was another scene, I guess, where Ido confronts her and tells her that, you know, he says that, you know, Alita, you're the only family I've ever had, and I missed you very much. And anytime you want to come back, you'll have a place to live, or something like this, you know, and just tell her that he really misses her and stuff. And it kind of gets to her, I think, you know, and, you know, I think it kind of brings her back around a little bit, you know, back, you know, because before she, you know, in the manga, she was disgusted with him for being, I guess, Joshigan's tutor and not hers.
And for being drunk.
Yeah, that's right.
Because the first time he comes up to see her, he's not Joshigan's tutor yet, but he hasn't shaved in weeks, and he's he's either drunk or severely hangover.
Yes, exactly. So, Tyler Barnes, yes, we want certainly we want to see Motorball in the sequel. But, you know, like I've said on many streams, I not only want a sequel, I want a series too. And as a matter of fact, I want to see 6 movies. that's my thing. You know, I want to see as many movies as we can get out of this IP. You know, because this manga, you know, this universe, Alitaverse, is just rich with content. I mean, it's got tons of stories in it, and characters and stuff like that. And it would be a shame for this not to make it to the big screen, other than just in the movie like we see here. So anyway.
I want to see the first series in movies, so to keep it somewhat consistent, so we don't have to jump between watching movies and series. But Last Order would work better as a series, so they could have a series somewhat separated from the movie, so it's the same universe, but you don't have to jump between them to get a continuous story. And Mars Chronicles, I haven't read all of it, but so far it would be funny if they toned it down and somehow made it a kids series, like an incredibly inappropriate but technically still passable kids series.
Well, they could tone it down. You know, they could tone the Mars Chronicles down quite a bit.
They have to tone it down a lot, but not so much so it's unrecognizable. So it's like one of those kids series where it's technically marketed as a kids series, but everyone knows it. You're not supposed to let children watch that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, we've said that on streams too. You know, that we think that'd be really good as a kids series, the Mars Chronicles.
They'd be able to get away with it, but the kids will probably still be asking too many questions.
But the kids would love it, obviously. Yeah. As long as there's songs, kids will love it.
Well, you know, in the Mars Chronicles, especially those first 6 volumes, Alita is either a little toddler or, you know, no more than 4 years old or something like that through most of the Mars Chronicles, you know. So
Erica's the protagonist then.
Yeah, Erica is older. Erica is like 6 or 7 years old, isn't she? And Erica, man, she's a little rascal, is what she is. She's a little schemer, is what she is. You know.
Has Creaky read all the Mars Chronicles yet?
Creaky read.
I can't remember.
Volume 8, yes. Creaky read Volume 8. Yeah, I sure did. Matter of fact, when I was flying back here to North Carolina, I read it on the plane. You know, and matter of fact, I had the damn thing read even almost as we were not barely off the runway when I finished it. So, you know, it was great. You know, the thing about Erica, she wants to kill Kuhn. You know, she wants, for some reason, I don't know why. I mean,
she wants to kill everyone who's even slightly, even a slight chance of stealing Yoko from her.
I know. You know, I think Yoko was saying he's a real hero. You know, Kuhn is. You know. And so I guess Erica didn't like that. And so he said, I'm going to kill that guy, you know. So what's the name? That was Yana Vikova or something like that. You know, that woman, that cyborg woman that was in the sewer or wherever she was. And that big monster guy, I can't remember his name now. So wanting to kill Kuhn, you know. But anyway, they were off target there, I guess. So, yeah, that'd make an excellent, if they toned it down, because the origin, Alita's origin in the Mars Chronicle is, I remember reading that going, holy crap.
I remember reading it.
Remind me to collect footage from Martian Memory for next time.
All right.
I remember
that's not as bad. The video game
Alita's origin at night.
Say again, Channel.
I remember reading Alita's origin at night because I mostly read the manga at night, Mars Chronicle at night. And the next day, that night I had a really bad sleep. And next day I had a hard time focusing on school because all I could see was Alita's freaking origin story.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we won't bring that up here because it'd be too big of a spoiler for people that haven't read Mars Chronicle.
For anyone who hasn't read Mars Chronicle, consider not reading it at night.
Or watch the video game when I get the footage up.
Okay, will do.
It's in the video game?
Yes. I started Channel. I started this with footage of Motorball from the video game Martian Memory before you got on.
I was asking is that far into Mars Chronicle in the video game?
Yes, there's references. Well, it's before they did Mars. It's before Kishiro did Mars Chronicle. So it has its own version of the origin, but it's roughly the same idea.
Okay.
You see a guy having a face coming out of his forehead and another guy has one coming out of his shoulder, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if anybody wants to read that Martian Chronicles, or Mars Chronicles, rather, I can't think of that old.
It's the part with the death of son of Mustard's father.
Yeah,
that just immediately made me turn off my phone and just nope, enough for tonight.
God, I remember reading that, going, "Holy shit, man!"
And then I had to take a look again because that's just how the brain works. You see something horrifying, you're disgusted, and then you want to see it again because I don't know why. It's like when you hurt yourself and you kind of want to do it again. You're not sure why.
Kishiro's got a hell of an imagination, doesn't he? Because that origin story there is a lot different than the origin story that's on the video, you know, for the fall.
I was kind of disappointed on the video. Alita was a normal baby. No, she was not.
Yeah, she was not a normal baby in Mars Chronicles. No. So, you know, I think though, if they did do a child's a children's anime series, that they could not do it that way. They'd have to follow the more of the, you know, what was in the video, you know, for the fall.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Some animation is not meant for children. Period.
Not necessarily, because as long as they call it magic, and instead of saying, "Oh, it's surgical horror," you could say, "Oh, it's magical horror." You can get away with a lot as long as it's magic.
I guess so, you know, but I think kids can be pretty impressionable, you know, so it might affect some of them. I don't know though, you know, you may be right about that. So,
and there's already oracles on Mars and some kind of djinn, so it's already pretty much obvious that the story would be magical. So if they make the rainbow iris or whatever that thing that calls Alita, that calls Yoko to be called, they make that magic too, then they could probably get away with it.
Yeah, they probably would. They probably would. If they wanted to keep it grounded in reality, though, they probably would want to give her a normal child.
Yeah, there's no way they're keeping Mars Chronicle grounded without completely changing it.
Well, at the very least, they'd have to tone it down quite a bit because it's not appropriate for kids the way it is now. I don't think. Anyway, that's my thought. Although
a lot of animation just isn't. I mean, Fist of the North Star is animated, but it's not for children whatsoever.
Oh no, it's not for children. But I was saying though, if they wanted to make Mars Chronicles for kids, particularly little kids, they would have to.
No way.
I'm just when we're thinking what the Mars Chronicle could get away with, I'm using currently the Owl House as a standard because that's the show I most recently watched and that I'm most obsessed over. I'm thinking, could the Owl House find a way to get away with it? And if so, then probably so could Mars Chronicle.
Well, the way the video game Martian Memory works is you see a guy with a face coming out of his forehead, and another guy having a face coming out of his shoulder.
No problem.
What they show you.
They'd get away. Now they could get away with more.
Seeing a whole female body with eyeballs and faces all over
it. Yeah.
That would be harder to get away with, but they would have a chance.
Just having a singular face coming out of a person's forehead or shoulder, that would work. Okay, it'd be a lot more mild.
No, they could get away with multiple faces. It's just if it wasn't on screen for too long, they could get away with it. But I just realized what I'm using as this Owl House's. They could get away with is in Owl House's final season when they already knew they'd be shortened, so they didn't have to worry about getting too horrific and getting canceled because they're already canceled. So Mars Chronicle, they would have to have some slightly looser standards, slightly more tolerant standards to get away with that in something that isn't their final season, because shows can get more crazy when they know they have nothing left to lose.
Well, those are interesting concepts, but the Creek thinks that they still need to give her in for kids, not adult anime. I agree with Chaos on that. I agree with you and Chaos on that, but for kids, I mean little kids, like 5 years old, that kind of stuff.
Oh no, that could be a problem. I was thinking kids like 8 years old.
Yeah, 8, 10, you could get away with a measure of that, particularly if you did the magic thing, like you were saying, Channel. But little bitty kids, because you remember one of the things about this, there's so much to this IP that it's possible that if they really took this, if they went after it and did all the stories and all that, it took them many, many, many years to actually, show it in movies or in shows and stuff like that. Some of these kids would be 5 years old and they'd be 30 by the time they see, another movie with Alita in it. Their minds are going to be set on what they saw when they were 5 years old. And that's going to contribute to how they view Alita when they're 30, or something like that. So anyway, I think that's just something they need to consider, when they do that. So
kids shows, usually when they hide their horror as much as they can, it ends up being something that just people after watching it consider fridge horror, because now that I think of, now that if you try to translate it into non-magical terms, the most popular one ship in the Owl House, Lumity, started with Luz cutting her best friend's brain up while flirting with her bully. That was kind of messed up. And yes, that is something that happened in an episode.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, I guess to your point too. I remember.
Except it's magic, so it's totally kid appropriate because there's no blood, so it's okay.
Well, it kind of reminds me of what I saw a Disney movie many, many years ago. And you guys know I'm fairly old anyway, at least. I'm chronologically pretty old, but I saw this movie called Darby O'Gill and the Little People, and it had a banshee in it. And I was a little kid when I saw it, and that thing scared the shit out of me. And then I saw it some years later. I was like 50 years old or 45 or something like that. And I saw that and I went, holy crap, that scare me? It was not the same, I guess. So I guess kids would be the same way with it if they saw Alita like that in that kind of a situation. So who knows? Okay, any more thoughts about Alita in the Champions League? Oh, we lost Angelus. Holy moly.
Yeah, before I do, I'll just share the picture of what the Friday schedule usually is.
Okay. Yeah, throw it up there. Yeah, because Chaos does a stream just before our stream here, and it usually comes on about a couple of hours, I think, before this one. I think that's when you started, isn't it, Chaos? Something like that. So you got the schedule there, Chaos, or?
It's coming.
Okay, there it is.
There it is, 1 to 3:30. Gonna March Memory Live. It won't be happening for 2 weeks because I'm out of town.
1 p.m.
Usually it will be that way.
Well, 1 p.m. Eastern, I guess, is when you're doing it. That's
New York time.
Yeah, that's several hours. That's say 5 hours before. So, and then there's another. The YouTube showcase comes on at 4:30. So, you got a couple of things there, and then of course after those two, we have the Alita live stream about 1 hour after the showcase. So if you want to get a good dose of Alita on Friday, there you have it right there,
And
I'll get it right here. Got it.
Probably a horrible pun, but while I was talking with the Owl House, like something that isn't in the final season and was by the internet kind of considered like a standard of how much you can get away implicitly was the episode Hollow Mind, which now every time I think about it, I'm reminded of The Secret of Zalem, because thank you, title. Okay. No, it has nothing to do with The Secret of Zalem. But there, the main plot is only slightly horrific, but if there's a lot of hints to something that most people put together that's significantly more horrific. So Mars Chronicle could hide some of its more grotesque story, like implicitly, with only showing it for like split scenes, like in the background, someone's memories. Yeah. So you still have the basic story, and the less horrific things are stated outright and shown outright, but the worst parts are just briefly shown and left only explained, and that are easy to, not very well explained, but easy to piece together. So the 5-year-old, it will fly over the 5-year-old's head, but the 10-year-olds and the adults will figure out what's going on.
Yeah, as long as we don't scare the bejesus out of the kids, I guess we're okay. By the way,
We should scare the bejesus out of the kids. We just shouldn't traumatize them for life.
Right, we shouldn't traumatize them for life because a lot of them like being scared. They just don't want it to affect their personalities, I guess.
Like, for example, I doubt anyone here. Okay, if anyone's wanted to watch Hollow Mind, they probably don't like spoilers. So there's, for example, some scene. Hunter and Luz magically get transported inside of the Emperor's mind. He's the main villain, and like there's some scene where they're running around his mind. They're arguing about something. There's like a child version of Bellows, and that's the main plot. And later there's this confrontation with Bellows. Meanwhile, in the background we have paintings of Bellows's memories, and one is, for example, where he's standing over a pit of mud with a hand reaching out, and he's holding a bloodied mask of his own face. Because he's lost his human form from extending his life with magic, and he's turning into slush, and that's not that's briefly shown in the background, but they're not really getting censored because maybe it's lighting, maybe it's blood. There's just a lot of blood in paintings, like one where he's cutting off parts of his ears.
Okay.
And I was thinking something like that, but obviously without by the magic.
All right. Well, all right. I could see maybe some of that, but I don't know. By the way, Angelus is having Windows update problems. That's why he fell off.
Oh, okay.
He just sent me a DM. So anyway, all right. Back to Alita in the Champions League. So anything in the manga, I mean, not the manga, I'm sorry, anything in the sequel that you would like to see that's not listed up there in the Champions League, what Alita has to go through or something like that? Oh, I just thought of something, but go ahead. Okay, here's what the Creek wants to see. This is not Motorball specific, but I want to see Alita do that arm wrestling thing with Jashigan.
Oh yeah, that's so awesome. No one cares. It looks kind of stupid.
I want to see that. Where Jashigan, he kind of says, okay, this is a tie or whatever it was, and he's using his chi and stuff like that. And then as he's walking away, his arm falls off down there or something like that.
Like they kind of already either reference or foreshadowed it with Alita taking her heart out to show it to Hugo. So they already showed that hearts are easily extendable. So we could call it foreshadowing if they end up having the arm wrestling scene.
Well, they could do that here. Granted, the first time Alita shows her hearts to Hugo because she loves him, But this one, it could be like, if you beat me in this arm wrestling match, here's my heart, destroy it, They could do something like that, and say, oh, wow, the first time she did that, she loved somebody. This time she wants to, she wants to take somebody out, That'd be kind of an interesting little dichotomy there, I think. So, anything else, folks? Okay, well, there is one more thing that the Creek wants to see, but it won't be in the sequel, and we're going to get that in just a minute. So, but the main thing is we want Motorball in an Alita future episode of some kind, whether it's in a series or if it's in the sequel.
It's necessary for a plot.
Yes, it's got to be part of it. I mean, for sure, it's pretty important in the movie. Motorball is, and if they can't lose that importance in the sequel for sure, particularly when she goes up against Jashigan. Now they can do the second league thing in a series if they want, but that Champions League competition with Jashigan, that's got to be in the sequel, And of course, I think they should follow that immediately in the same movie with the Zerkerpan arc. But we're not going to stop there. Now, this is not going to be Motorball, but the Creek also wants to see the Zot. Now, that's not going to be in the second movie. The
Zot should not be in the movie. The Zot should be a series, because if it's a movie, it's either going to be a 9-hour-long movie or a movie that's extremely rushed.
Yeah, because there were a lot of teams in that thing. And,
there was a lot of everything in that thing.
Yeah, there was, for sure. But the way I see it is that if they're going to do the Zot, okay, they're going to have to spend a lot of time on the Zot, But here's the thing. I don't see them doing it in the very near future because of where it fits in the timeline. I mean, Alita has actually got to get all the way through the Badlands arc before she does the Zot. And she gets through a lot of the Last Order timeline before she gets to the Zot. So for me, if they were going to do this in a movie, it would have to be the 6th movie. But if they're not going to do it in a movie and they're going to do like Channel says and make it a complete series, it's going to have to be after who knows how many movies, where it fits the timeline real well. That said, Creek wants to see Zot.
I think Zot would be better if animated because while the earlier series is way more grounded, so it does work in live action or like the realistic CGI live action mix that done in the first movie, and the other movies I hope will be in a similar style to the first movie. The Zot is way wilder, so the CGI would have to be incredibly good to not look wonky with such wild concepts. So that's where just animation that's not even trying to be very realistic would work better. Not sure if CGI animation or just like a 2D anime that only has slightly 3D elements. I think the anime might work better. They could make it look good with CGI. CGI is getting better with every year, so maybe they will have CGI by that time that actually looks good with this.
Well,
currently, I doubt they would.
Who knows? Who knows where CGI is going to be, and AI for that matter, in 10 years?
So they will have. I'm assuming they will definitely have way better CGI by then. So they could make that CGI. If they might make it 2D, that would also look cool. But I think that should not be Zot should not be live action. It should be a series because that just works better than if it were a movie. But the first series should be entirely in movies. I think that's just like a nice way to make it work, or at least the most plot-wise important elements of the first series should be in a movie. If they make like a spin-off series, I'm cool with that. I love that. But the most important plot should be in movies.
Well, they could do something like this channel, say the 5th movie or the 6th movie. At the very end, they could show, they could have a little setup of Alita getting ready to go play in the Zot with the Space Angels. And then that's the last movie, and then they have the series after that, which could be 8 to 10 episodes.
And then they shove in one more movie at the very end of Last Order.
Yes.
I just don't want to break up the main series with like movie, series, because it wouldn't be bad, but it would be slightly confusing to watch because when you're jumping between a movie canon and a series canon, you're pretty much bound to create accidentally 2 separate canons that will be slightly conflicting.
Well, I think if, to be faithful to the, to make it faithful to the manga or the canon itself, I don't think it has to be exact. As long
it doesn't have to be exact, but it would be. I'm not asking to be exactly faithful to the manga. I'm asking it to be consistent within itself.
Okay, it does have to. You have to see the parallels. You definitely have to see that it's grounded in the manga. I think for the fans,
and it's easier to keep something consistent if it's just a series of movies or just a few series. And it's harder to keep that consistency when you're jumping between a movie and a series. I'm not sure why, but it just.
Well, they've kind of done that with Star Wars, haven't they? They've made many series of Star Wars that all turned out pretty good, And to except for the fact the last Star Wars movie I saw, I mean, it was entertaining, but I really thought, wow, this is not good. That's kind of what I thought when I saw it, But they have a lot of pretty good Star Wars series that go right along parallel with the movies. They do. The Mandalorian is a good one. Book of Boba Fett was good. They got some animation, like the Bad Batch, I think, is one of them. The Clone Wars was another one. That's an older one, but all that seems to kind of follow the same theme, in Star Wars. So anyway, they could do that with Alita. Of course, the big difference with Alita and what we had in Star Wars, they're kind of having to invent stories although a lot of books came out about Star Wars after the first movie, you know, in the second movie, people started writing paperback books on it. But with Alita, Kashiro's done all this. They've got all this material right now, you know. What is it, 38 volumes or something like that, you know?
It's 9 volumes in the first series,
Yeah.
19 volumes of the second, so that's 28.
Yes.
And then 8 of Mars Chronicle.
So that's 36. Okay, yeah. 36 volumes. Man, you know, I mean, look at all of that material.
And then there's the other stories, so like Holy Knight and Sonic Fingers, which I think could count for an additional 1 volume.
That one, and that was that one thing called not the Tree of Life, that one where Alita was in that.
That's part of Volume 9. That's counted as part of Volume 9, the non-canon ending.
That's the one, I guess, where Figure 4, you know, reunites with her or something like that.
I found someone on Reddit that says not to completely ignore it. You could treat it as a third Ouroboros that's put through Alita's brain while she's in the box.
Yes. Yes.
So, and it kind of matches up because at the end of that, Alita sort of reborn from this flower, and then it fades to white, and she's in a very similar position when reborn from the flower to when she's awakens in the bioprinter. So it could be like her dream fading into reality, and that's why it fades to black. And it's because it's easy in the story, but also because it's just Alita waking up and she's in almost the same position, and also Figure's still there, just a slightly different setting.
Yes.
That's a way to repurpose.
Okay, so anything else, guys? Any other topics on Alita you want to talk about? Because we know we all want sequel. I want more than a sequel. I want at least 3 movies and maybe more. And I want more than 1 series too. I mean, as much Alita as I can get. That's what I want. You know, so
I want Mars Chronicle to get back onto the main timeline.
That would be
the
nice.
Future timeline, because they're currently spiraling in every direction.
Yeah. Well, Volume 7 is. Oh, we lost Chaos, so I guess he had to split. Yeah, he had to split. Yeah, Mars Chronicles, particularly Mars Chronicle Volume 7, that kind of that's kind of like after, I guess, Last Order or something like that, or a good part of it is.
I didn't read chapter. I kind of flipped through Volume 8, and I thought, no characters I recognize or care for aside from Erica and Yoko. Okay, yeah. I might read it later if it turns out this was important for the plot when it actually gets to the plot, a part of the plot I care for.
Oh God, when I read all the manga, I read it slow. I mean, I wanted to absorb everything. As a matter of fact,
I have parts that I read like 8 times over, and I have parts that like flipped through. Yeah. Okay, anything important here? No, not really.
Yeah. That's
when
right.
I saw that.
I do the same thing. I do exactly the same thing.
When I saw that cyborg with giant boobs that was holding Yoko with a lollipop, my first thought was, oh, I really hope she doesn't become an important character. I look at her design and I already feel like I don't feel like reading any of her lines. And I read the next few chapters, just skipping all of her line, hoping to figure out from the context of other characters. I immediately considered her that annoying, like saying, well, I hope she doesn't become an important villain so I don't have to backtrack and read what she's talking about.
I do that. Well, it's not so much.
Oh, no, she did become an important villain now.
Well, what I'll do is I'll be reading it and I'll read several pages like that. And I'll read something on one of them and I'll go, holy crap, what was that way back there? And I'll go back several pages and I read it real slow again, trying to, that's kind of what I do, when I read the manga, because God, Kashiro's mind, I tell you, it's
I still can't tell if Last Order has a very, very confusing narrative or if I'm kind of stupid, because I only figured out what the hell is going on, like chronologically with all the flashback, flash forwards, and the imaginary sequences on my third reading.
I don't know. I like I like the Last Order. I really.
It's not bad. I'm just saying I can't tell if it's kind of confusing. I only figured out what's going on my third reading, but the fact that I was interested enough to read the third time and try to figure out that at least proves it's interesting, even if it's confusing.
I know at one point Angelus and I started reading the manga over again. You know, we started from scratch. We read it. He and I would read it. You know, and we would be within one chapter of each or one volume of each other, and we kind of did this over the course of a year. I guess about 3 years ago we did this, and we started doing it again last year. But I got kind of busy working on some stuff for my client, I guess, and some other stuff, and he kind of read ahead of me a little bit. He was waiting for me to catch up, and then he said, "Well, Creek is too busy." You know, so I guess he quit reading, or he might have kept reading it. I don't know, you know. So, but anyway.
I had a similar, just read it aloud with a friend, and that's kind of how I was catching up with it, because I was just realizing, oh, I did not remember that at all.
Yeah. That's what we'd do. We'd read it and then discuss it a little bit, you know. So
we didn't really discuss it. We mostly made jokes about it.
She said, "Oh, what is this, X-Men? I want your social anything about what she did on the moon. It wasn't kosher." And I'm not reading that too smart there, X-Men. I guess what I'm seeing is you want to know what's going on, what she was doing on the moon. Maybe is what the way I see it, X-Men. I think okay, that's a little different in Motorball, but what I would say is that she was in the military when she was on the moon, and what they were doing is they were in a war with Earth. And the way I see it, you know, thinking in military terms, is probably the military felt like they had to take the moon so they could set up some kind of staging area, so then they'd have a better way, they'd have a better how would you say, they'd be in a better position to attack the Earth, you know, and that's why they were fighting on the moon, I think. But that's only my opinion, so it's not, you know, out of any notes or anything like that. So,
is the Manhoof operation, whatever it's called, in the movieverse? Did it happen? I think it didn't, because.
You mean Operation Malwarf? You mean?
Yeah. I keep forgetting how it's pronounced. Did that happen? Because I'm assuming it didn't. If Alita was trying to climb from below instead of infiltrating undercover from above, so. It probably either didn't happen or someone else did it, like Erica.
I don't think it's referenced in the movie verse in either like any of the material that kind of goes along with the movie. Operation Malwarf is where she's trying to destroy these ships that are going to colonize or attack or whatever. Mars, maybe? I'm not sure.
I thought there were colonial ships that were supposed to be just sent out to. There were generational ships that were supposed to just be sent out to colonize the next planetary system.
Yeah.
Or someone in the chat.
And she was sent. She was sent on a suicide mission to blow them up or something, you know, and she ended up not killing herself, you know, not going through with it, I guess. Although a lot of people still died from it, I suppose. So at least in the story.
Depending on the translation, either 4 million or 40 million, because you know. Okay, 35 million that way, 35 million this way. Yeah, honestly, what's the big difference when you're translating a manga?
Well, what's a few million between friends, I guess. So anyway.
That sounds like something Erica might say.
Yes, Erica would definitely say that. Because Erica's always out to kill somebody. It's unbelievable, you know. Okay, so I guess we've been going on a little over 2 hours here. Did we miss anything? Of course, you missed the first 45 minutes there. Channel. I'll just kind of show you what we did go over there, just so you have an idea. Well, not that one. But, you know, we are, as I mentioned at the beginning, and everybody's on the stream now that's still on saw this, but we're going to have a plane fly around Disney headquarters with that banner on behind it like that. And we got a videographer that's going to take shoot some video of it, and a cosplayer out there in front of the Disney property or the Disney headquarters. So we're going to do that. Plus we're raising money for the hero arm for some deserving person, you know, that needs a bionic arm or hand. So that's what we're going to do there on that one. And then, of course, we talked about we picked up 135 signatures over the past week for the petition, which was a pretty good number since the week before it was only 6. And then certainly we want people to go see Avatar: Way of Water. So
wait, that's the petition? Did they change the logo? Because I thought that the petition was another one. Because I signed a different petition, and I got my friend to sign it.
Well, I think there's 2 or 3 URLs for it, or links. I think they all go to.
No, like the picture was different.
Yeah, this is just one I copied where I just changed the numbers. So, but if you down in the description below the screen here, this particular URL is down there. So you click on it and you'll see the picture. But anyway, that's yeah. Okay, so anyway, let me go back to where we were, I guess. Not that one. Yeah, well, I don't guess we missed anything then. Can you think of anything else you want to talk about there, Channel?
No. I mean, I hope they don't cut out Josh Gunn's kind of chronic brain problem or whatever you call it, because
yeah,
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's impossible to cut out with the plot, but if they really had tried really hard, they could. Just why?
Well, what they might do is, we talked about this on the stream here a couple of weeks ago. I think it was a Radio Chaos stream. They might do something like give him brain cancer, or who knows what they're going to do.
You can't just take any medical problem and change it to cancer. Yeah. I'm not saying cancer isn't a problem. I'm just saying not every medical problem is a cancer.
Yeah. Well, they could have him with some terminal, kind of disease thing going on.
Yeah,
and he's pumped full of steroids or whatever it is, and it keeps him going, and his last gasp effort is to win the final champion. That's I think what they.
I kind of hope they cut out the creepy. It's not really romance, but the attempt at a romance between Ido and Shumira. I'm pretty sure they'll have to cut it out unless they make Shumira significantly older.
I think that's a little creepy.
They're creeping down Ido, so that will definitely get cut, and that is something nobody will miss.
Yeah, that's right. As a matter of fact, in manga early on, kind of Ido's thoughts about Alita are kind of creepy as well, but they kind of got away from that in the movie, and hopefully they'll
by making Alita his daughter. So
now what they might do is something like this. Joshigan might ask Ido if he would take care of Shumira, because Shumira is a teenager like Alita, but not to the
give Alita a sister.
Well, yes, his sister, but what I'm saying is he might ask Ido, after I'm gone, will you take care of Shumira, and let her stay at your place, but not as a lover or anything, but just like a father figure or something.
Yeah, that would work.
That would work, I think, pretty good, and it wouldn't be creepy, So like, anyway,
Alita, you want to have a sister? What?
Yeah,
you want to have a sister?
Alita, she might say, no, I don't want no sister.
Alita, yeah. So you see, that's why I moved out. You can have my room.
Although
just don't touch my toys.
Well, what she might do though, she might say yes because she realizes it's Joshigan's sister, and so she might have some kind of bond with her, because I think Alita really idolizes Joshigan.
Or she thinks that maybe if Ido will have another little girl to take care of, he'll stop calling her 10 times a day.
That's right.
Alita, did you wash your hair? Alita, did you brush your hair? Alita, did you eat today?
Yes. Yeah, he might lay off of Alita because he'll be splitting his attention between the two of them. So anyway, that would work. I think that would.
I hope they also show like Josh against soft sides. I hope they don't just make him a hard jock.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure how much of it was in the manga. I'm not sure and how much was just fan and added later. But just Josh again as this big tough soft guy is.
Well, he did have a soft spot for his sister. I mean, he was concerned about her. He didn't want anything to happen to her even after he was gone, so maybe they can translate that over into other aspects of his life or something, I guess. Okay, so the Kraken channel wants Shamira in the series, or in the sequel rather. So that'll work as long as it's not creepy. As long as it's not that creepy thing with Ito, So, and I know Angela.
Just give her a slightly more covering shirt.
Yes, and I think Angelus would want a cute blonde. So let's get her some ooh woo, but that's fine.
Yeah,
don't go beyond that. Okay.
You can give her a lot of ooh, just only limited amounts of sexy ooh, and mostly just innocent ooh.
Yeah, that's right. Ooh woo's fine. Just kind of tone it down. Well, if it's going to be PG-13, they can't do a lot. So. Of course, one thing about Shamira is she's a meat girl, as they would say. Not a meat boy, obviously, but she's a human being. So they're not going to be able to do her like Alita, where Alita doesn't have any clothes on in front of the mirror. They're not going to be.
I mean, they have Sharon, so they clearly found a way around that. No clothes doesn't. Just because you can't show someone naked doesn't mean you can't. Well, but they shouldn't really do that with Shamira. So obviously the shower scene is out.
Yeah.
They really wanted to have a scene with her in a similar scene. They could have like her. I'm not sure if her hair's naturally blonde. They could have like a scene instead of her getting shampoo into her eye. You could have a scene of her bleaching her hair and accidentally burning herself. If you want something similar, but with clothes on.
Yeah, well, or if they wanted to do the shower scene, not reveal everything, and maybe just she's got her back to the camera, and maybe
they have to make her adult, because like even if it's not really showing much, shower scenes with teenagers are just automatically creepy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they can't do.
There's this age gap when you have a really young child, it's not sexual because it's a child. When you have an adult, it's okay because it's an adult. When you have a teenager, it's in this gap where no matter it's creepy because it's adult enough. It's gonna make you think sexual, but it's still technically kind of a child, so it's really inappropriate. So just avoid.
You're right.
Yeah, just really shower scenes with teenagers should be avoided.
Well, just give her a cute face. She'll be good.
Giant eyes, doe eyes.
That's right. Okay, so I guess we didn't miss anything, or if we did, we kind of caught it right.
Kimchi. Did anyone say about the little Alita's weird pet?
Did anybody say about what now, channel?
Alita's weird pet, the Kimchi or whatever it was called.
Oh, that little critter. That's
the one that Shamira wanted in case Alita died.
Yeah. Oh, could that be in the movie? Yeah, I guess it could. I mean, you remember Star Wars? They had that remote, that they would practice with. I don't see why they could do something like that in Alita. That would be interesting.
Its use for the plot had a little camera and was spying on Alita all along, but in the movie they wouldn't really need her pet to spy on her because everyone's spying on her. But they could still keep it like a cute mascot.
Yeah.
Or they could change it to like an animal that looked relatively normal and was just called.
No, I think they ought to make it look like. I think they ought to make it look like Kimchi myself.
Yeah, like a plushie, and then you can sell Kimchi plushies as merchandise.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe Kran will do one for him. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so anyway, I guess we covered that pretty well. Of course, this is our queen right here, Rosa, and of course, Rosa is #1 in the Creeks book in terms of being an actress, and she is great, man. She's she definitely brought Alita to life, and I think they had some other good actresses that tried out for Alita, but I think they made the right choice getting Rosa. I know one of them was Zendaya. And Zendaya would have probably been a good Alita, but I don't think she'd have been as good as, in my opinion, as good as Rosa. And then, of course, we got Elle Lamont and Jessie Fisher. They brought Screwhead to life. Elle being certainly the actress that played Screwhead, but Jessie Fisher, of course, was the stunt woman. And, all three of these ladies, there are ladies in terms of being in the Alita Army. All of them are, and I think we, of course, Rose's her Alita Army number is 00001 or something like that. And of course, we and when we interviewed, I guess Elle Lamont, when we interviewed Jessie Fisher, we told them, "Yep, you're in the Alita Army." And of course, Elle said, "I hope you'd let me in the Alita Army." So she's in the Alita Army. And all three of these ladies are professionals. They're great, but I'll tell you what, like I say every week, it sure don't hurt that they're pretty. So, so anyway, we're glad that those three were in the movie itself. Tomorrow on Radio Chaos, in which the Creek is going to be the stream manager tomorrow, we're going to talk about Joshigan. Kind of like how's he going to be done in the sequel. So it's going to be pretty. I mean, some of what we talked about today will probably come up in the stream tomorrow, but we're going to concentrate on Joshigan tomorrow. And I don't know if it's either Maxie or Angelus that are going to be the MC. I'm not sure who, or the host rather. But this is going to be a pretty neat stream because Joshigan's going to be an important player in the sequel, because this is going to be the final champion thing, whether Alita goes to Zalem or not. And this is going to be, if they put the Motorball arc and the Zerkerpan arc in one movie, this arc, the Motorball arc, will be the first arc in the movie, I think. So tune into that one, and we're going to have a lot of fun on that, discussing this. Okay, why is this image here? Well, that image is there because I like it, and I'm running the stream. And to paraphrase Gruishka, I'm only here for our girl and the Alita Army. And of course, all of us in the Alita Army are only here for our girl.
No, we're also here for a few other characters.
Yeah, we like them all. I mean, Screwhead.
Some people are mostly here for Zax.
Yeah, well, Kran.
I'm not one of those people, but you can notice them easily.
Well, Kran and Rotten or Mathau they like Zex a lot, which is why I told them they better have some Zex questions for that trivia verse last week.
Yeah, I still can't forgive the Polish translation for making Zax a woman. So because they couldn't, the Polish translation Zax is a woman.
Really?
Because I guess they hate trans people that much. And the problem is that when Zax's masculinity becomes an important plot part, they couldn't really translate that well. So they had to cut out some of the humor, and it still kind of works, but it's just so flat because all the jokes about sex being a dude are just cut out.
That's weird.
They didn't even try to replace them with jokes about a woman fighting a man. They just
Well, it made sense to me that Zex. Well, I say it makes sense in the story. Zex started out as a woman. He's AR6, and then he became a guy cyborg, I guess. But there was one.
No brain.
Well, there was one section of panels there in the manga where Alita was asking Ed, I guess it was, or Umba, or one of them, why did you make me a female in this? Why don't you give me a male cyborg body or something like that? And they said, no, it doesn't fit you, or something like that.
No, because then you're pretty.
Yeah, you're pretty. That's right. And as a guy, you're not pretty.
Yeah, as a guy, you're a different type of pretty.
Yeah. Yeah,
as a guy, you're less pretty, and I think something I like about Alita is the fact that when you go to the type of pretty, you have some characters that are very pretty in a feminine sense. So obviously, Alita, there's characters like Shumura, Eli. There's characters that are masculine, and that's the part of them that is attractive, like sex. But you have those. You have rarely characters like Chaos, who's a male, but all of his attractiveness, at least most of his attractiveness, comes from his femininity because he's pretty in the way a girl is.
Well, he does exactly. I agree. He's
a Moe girl, and then there's Zoe, who looks like an anime boy.
Yeah.
Zoe's handsome. She's not pretty. She's handsome.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is, I guess. Well, for me, I like Alita because, well, certainly she's pretty. She's got a pretty face and all that. But I like her power. I especially like in that body right there. That's her Imaginos 2.1 body. And,
I like the humor.
Yeah, well, I like the power. I like
the humor and the wacko sci-fi, and also the badass power. But the humor is a big part of it.
Okay, well, there's some humorous parts in it, but I still got to go with the power. So, yeah. Oh, it looks like and Alejandro's giving you some shout outs there, channel.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we wore this one out pretty well. So I guess that only leaves us one thing to do here, and that's the call to action. And channel, you and I are the only ones doing it, so I guess we'll go ahead and do it.
I mean, it's the middle of the night.
Yeah,
at least over here.
Oh, that's right. It's after midnight there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 2:30
Oh God.
a.m.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up then. So on my count,
I wasn't on the first half of the first part of the stream because I was sleeping.
Oh wow! So you woke up just to be on the stream?
I woke up in the middle of the night for another reason, and just since I'm here, I might as well go to the stream, and I do not regret that.
Well, I'm so glad you joined us then. That's pretty cool. So, you know. Okay, then channel, on my count of 3, I guess we're gonna do the call to action. So that would be 1, 2, 3.
Film those sequels, baby.
And we will catch you next week on the Alita live stream, and we will catch you tomorrow on Radio Chaos. Bye.
Bye.
What's up, Alita Army? This is Hot Toys Alita, and I hope you enjoyed this week's Alita live stream. Please join my Uncle Creek, Angelus, and our other guests for next week's show. Remember, I do not stand by in the presence of evil, and film those sequels, baby. See you next time.